Um, okay, so I didn't even realize the secret Mother Earth in alchemy is because the um water there's a saying in alchemy that comes the so what that means the yang qi so the sun becomes the mother, which means the yang qi is the metal that's hidden in the water. And by the sun becoming the mother, therefore the water becomes the earth. So the secret of the water becoming the earth is actually yang qi being made to um, take control or govern the water. The sun the sun then creates his own embryo through the yang qi, and the embryo is the yang shen, and the shen is heaven. Um, so the yang shen manifests. So the fire has wood in it. Says I lost my connection. I don't know if it's still connecting or not, but anyway, so what is the secret power of Earth in alchemy? It's actually heaven and earth as soil, the soil being the Wan Shen, which they call the mysterious valley. So the mysterious valley is the proper and E is spelled Y, and you have to actually study um the Chinese characters for what E means, and it means both and intention or intention as sound, as the source of sound. The secret is based on the universe as the mother earth. So the universe, what they call the green dragon as the universe, is the secret of listening as a superluminal um, virtual phonon energy. It's faster than the speed of light. And of course, classical Western science does not think this is possible, but that's because they don't study quantum biology. And so when you have this superluminal listening process, you're getting the proper intention as the Wan Shen. So the Wan Shen is then what they call clear light in Tibetan um, meditation, or in Taoism, it's called the light of no light. So the Wan Shen is what decides whether your spirit goes to heaven or to earth after you die. The Wan Shen is therefore connected to your Hun soul, as it's called in Taoism, the fire that lives when your eyes are open, or your pole soul, and the pole soul is connected to the so person out of the eyes as spirit, and this is associated with the liver. So, for example, um, you'll hear the phrase, what is it? About rage. Like a person in rage, they'll often stare. They'll sit there and stare, and that's called the evil eye. And a lot of times, or the evil eye will be focused on like what's I call the psychic vampire, which is phallus, trying like the materialistic drive of the male. And so that has to all be in alchemy. So what's happening is with the eyes open, the yin chi, the liver, the fire, the wood floats, and it floats in water. So what's happening is the pole soul as yang qi is then attracted um to the wood that's floating out of the eyes. So then you get a separation of heaven and earth, because instead of turning the light around and listening as a superluminal alchemy, you are separating the metal that's hidden inside the fire and water. And when you separate them, you end up losing that chi. So it's mainly male reproductive drive, or sometimes like you'll hear if somebody's like ready to fight somebody, that they get a boner, which is, to put it crudely, that just shows this connection between the yin chi and yang chi. So, and also the kind of like aggression that's tied, like the sadomasochistic kind of drive with the male. With the male gets addicted to that drive, that's essentially what fascism is you have this like right brain dominant sort of erotic, with the eco-feminists call it missile envy. So in terms of alchemy and Mother Earth, turn that around. So then the secret again is that when you focus on the metal inside the water, you do is to return the wood to the earth, um, to the water, to then reversing the five elements. So when you close your eyes and meditate, about 2/3 power is, and so when you close your eyes, your brain's like 25 watts, but it's based on coherent laser biophoton energy. So you're getting like 17 watts as a laser when you meditate. So that's 17 watts of laser energy is then ionizing the water or electrochemical energy in the body and turning the yin chi. Yin chi is the negative ions that's in the blood. And the third eye is the pineal gland, actually cerebral spinal fluid. So the like when the male has the reproductive, it's mainly lecithin. Lecithin actually stores up charge. It can be ionized, and the cerebral spinal fluid is also connected to the lecithin. So this was known by the ancients, but of course modern science dismisses this whole connection, because in modern times, if you're like super religious, you're considered just like a fanatic and you're insane or whatever. So it's the irony is to like the Mother Earth actually based on patriarchy, because the male has to, in terms of alchemy, they have to separate away from the females. They have to control their mind. They have to control, like the Brahmin priests are not allowed to make are not allowed to make eye contact with females. And if they contact with females, they have to do 3 days of ritual purification. That was the traditional um like rules for the Brahmin priests. And in Southeast Asia, the monks in Buddhism are not allowed to have any physical contact with females. So what's happening there is the yin qi is what powers the yang qi, in terms of the yang qi, the lung energy. So you have this connection between the liver and the lungs. And if you look at it in terms of Western science, the lung is the vagus nerve, the right side vagus nerve. The lung is connected to the pole soul, which is connected to the nose. So when you breathe through your nose, you're activating the vagus nerve, and activating the vagus nerve. And what happens is through meditation, you're achieving what they call parasympathetic rebound. And that's the secret of this two-mode breathing that Wim Hof teaches, which is called quick fire in Taoism. So you do 30 quick, deep breaths, and that changes CO2 ratio in the brain so that you don't have a diver's reflex anymore. So then when you hold your breath after exhale, vagus nerve, and you can hold it longer. So when you're holding the breath after exhale, you're activating that vagus, the secret metal in the water, and that's what creates that heat. Is that when you activate the vagus, you want to come as the negative ions, and so you're combining the negative ions with the positive ions, blood as the negative ions, and so you're combining the negative ion, positive ions. You're also turning the biophoton spirit around, and so the Wan Shen as spirit is what like guides the whole process. And so eventually, when the Mother Earth is worshipped and you start to create the Yang Shen, then you start having precognitive visions, because the Yang Shen can only be created by turning the light around so that you're resonating virtual photons from the future as like a negative frequency and time reversed superluminal charge. And so this enables precognitive visions, but they're actually more real than being awake, because they are achieved from pure photon energy. And physics tells us that all matter is actually made of photons, but because you can't achieve a precise center of mass with the momentum as energy in relativity, then the photon has a secret gravitational mass that's actually derived from this virtual photon that's in eternal motion. So you end up, when you worship the Mother Earth, you have this eternal motion it's an energy that you can tap into, and you get precognitive visions that are more real than being awake. And then the visions are based on your heart energy, because the heart energy is when, after you've restored your yin qi and activate the yang qi, and then you start building up the yang qi, then you feel extreme heat in the lower body, and then that activates the heart energy through this strong right side vagus nerve connection. So the right side vagus nerve controls the lungs. Vagus nerve connection. So the right side vagus nerve controls the lungs, and it also controls the heart through the ventricle. And so that's why extreme yogis, they actually will have their heart stop, and their body will be directly powered by this force that's like beyond physical matter through this. So it's all guided by the biophoton signals, kind of like when you open your garage door and you press a signal, and then all of a sudden, you get this great power garage door. So the yang signaled by the biophoton information. And so the secret of Mother Earth is actually Yang Shen combined with Yang Qi. So it's this extreme patriarchal, like male energy, because you have to activate the hidden metal in the water so that the sun becomes the mother as the earth. And then when you do that, earth, so that the sun becomes the mother as the earth. And then when you do that, it combined with the heaven. So Yang Qi and the Yang Shen are then the Wu Ji. And the Wu Ji is actually the yin and yang combined together as internal motion as the Tai Chi. So um the secret of that again is the proper intention at E, and the E is this superluminal listening process. And so that's why they say the Tao can never be seen, it can never be spoken of, because it has to be done in silence with the eyes closed to access this alchemical force. And of course, our whole culture is based on visual. Seeing is believing, and being able to repeat an experiment for it to feel and all that. And that's not true in Taoism. Everything is always new. It's always ever fresh, ever new. And so anyway, that's the total difference between Mother Earth spirituality and the material um, patriarchy, which is a different kind of patriarchy and Mother Earth worship